Okay, everybody, let's discuss this linear node class. And I discussed this, how this works in the previous video. So we will just implement it. Okay. Remember a linear node, what does it contain? To vividly look at this, a linear node really contains two things, right? One is the actual element you want to place into the linked structure, and one is the address for the next linear node so that you can link them. So do you know what will be this actual element? You don't. So we use this T generic type, and that's what this is. So we are saying this linear node, we do not know what it will contain as an actual element. So it's a generic element. Okay, when you actually use this linear node, you will give it the actual type. So for example, if you say, I want to create a new linear node, right? So linear node, I want to make it a string, then you will do this, okay? Once again, you are familiar with this, you already know this, you are changing that type as you use it, okay? So that's why here we use T. And so we have two parts, and we already talked about that. One is a generic type, which is this part, right? And one is the reference variable for the next linear node so that we can link them together. And that's this part, okay? And so when you create a linear node, if you don't have anything, that's what this looks like. This is null, and this is null because you don't have anything. You are creating an empty placeholder, and that's what this is. Element is null, and next is null. Okay, an overloaded constructor here. This time, when I create a linear node, I do have an actual object in mind. That's the object I want to wrap up as a linear node. So this time, when you create this linear node, you will have this, right? And you actually have the element. And so now this will contain the address for that element. And your next still is null because you don't know where it's pointing to, okay? That's what this is. So that's the two constructors overloaded. And this is set element, okay? Give me an element, I will assign it to this object's element. It's just like here. This doesn't have an element, so you pass me an element, I will let the element be contained here. And set next, you accept a linear node because why? Because your next is a linear node type, right? And your element is a T type, so that's why. Okay, so you accept a linear node and you assign that node to next, to this variable. And get element, you return the element, which is T, right? And get next, because next is a linear node type, so your returned type is linear node, okay? And the toString, how do you implement the toString? You simply return the string of the element. Remember, this is an actual element. It's a generic type, but when you use it, you actually give it a type, right? So, and because each object takes care of itself, so that object will have a toString method. And remember, that's why I'm telling you, you should implement the toString method for every class you write. And so you will just concatenate this with a string so that the toString method will be called automatically and you return that. That's how this linear node class is implemented. It's a short video because I already explained how this works in the previous video. Okay, I'm going to stop here.